So we're half green, I think. And I would encourage you to use this water bottle, and I would encourage you to, whenever you see these and you see people just chucking them out, I would encourage you not to do that, because we use 2,000 a week, which is a lot of paper. I would also encourage you to consider this, right? We had a fun joke last week, we're supposed to be a green school, and we all got the digital copy of this, right? And here's a paper copy. So if you find a friend that doesn't have access to the digital copy, give them your paper copy, and you are saving paper, and you're spreading the word as well. So we are trying to be green, and we're trying to be green here in Mumbai, and that's really hard. There's a lot of big challenges behind that. You look outside our school, and it is a highly corporate area, lots of energy usage. Just think about the amount of carbon that you all came and flew in on, right? These are the questions that we're asking. So how can we be more green? One of the big challenges we have is finding the right questions to ask and finding the right person. And if you've lived in India long enough, or you've been in India long enough, that itself is a challenge. But we've spent, let's move over here. We've spent some time thinking about some very key things about green education. And when we say green education, it's a very broad scope. Firstly, we've looked at water usage. Where does our water come from? How are we using it? How are we recycling it? How does the pool, we have a huge swimming pool in the back. What is our water usage like? And I'd encourage you at your schools back home, or wherever you're coming from, to think about that. Also, we're looking at LEED status. Some of you know that we're building a new building, and it's about 15 minutes that way. And we're hoping to get LEED status on that. Now, there's a lot of reasons that we might get it, and there's a lot of reasons that we might not get it, based on construction materials and all that kind of stuff. But I would encourage you to check out the LEED standards for what you can do at your school. A couple really simple things. Have bike racks. Have bike racks for your students to come and your employees to come to work. Obviously, here in Mumbai, not a lot of us bicycle to work. If we all lived as close as the Sofitel, we could walk, but all of the employees live either 30 minutes that way or up to an hour and a half that way, so not a lot of bikers coming. We've also looked at rooftop gardens. Our new school is going to have a small rooftop garden, not as big as I would have loved to have had. The rooftop garden, from an energy standpoint, is an obvious choice, right? It reduces the energy because the sunlight comes down and then the rainwater comes down and stuff. But more importantly, it fits into with our final bullet points. I'll come back to the rooftop garden later. The other thing we've looked at is school electrical bills. I know we call this the Unplugged conference, but all those devices you have are consuming lots of energy. And we are really more plugged in than we were unplugged, if you really think about it, in terms of energy usage. Our electrical bills have skyrocketed at our school, and we're trying to figure out why. So I'd encourage you to think about your own school as you move to more tech-oriented. All those devices need to be powered, and you have to figure out how are you going to deal with that electrical usage and the cost. And when I say the word cost, it's not just dollars and cents, right? It's the environmental cost of the electricity. There's a lot of new software out there. There's a server hosting site out there that for every server that you use will plant enough trees to offset the carbon. We're exploring how to do that as well. Simple things like teaching your kids to turn their screensavers on actually doesn't save any energy, right? Because the screensaver just uses the same amount. So teaching your kids to turn their computers off, or power low mode, or all those sorts of interesting things. I would encourage you, especially the tech directors in the audience today, to think about that, putting that into your curriculum. Waste removal, wow, huge topic here in Mumbai, right? Just across the creek, which is just over there, is Dharavi. Did anyone go on the tour to Dharavi yesterday? Excellent, wow. Dharavi is an amazing place. Dharavi is, for those of you that don't know, is the largest slum in Asia. There's 1 million people that live in 1.2 square kilometers, not square miles. And one of the greatest things that the people in Dharavi do is they recycle. And they recycle everything. Did you see the plastic? You can stand on a rooftop in Dharavi and it looks like, oh, there's just piles of trash everywhere. There's actually people that are recycling different kinds of plastics. Here at ASB, we are doing our best to sort, and you can't see it right now, but it's down there, sort out wet garbage from plastics and all that kind of thing. We actually have a person that comes in to remove it, and he takes the waste products and sells them off into the slums where they get regenerated into something else. One of our greatest challenges is, of course, teaching our students to do that and teaching them to do that at home. It's not good enough to do stuff here. It's also good to teach them at home. Another thing we've looked at is paper usage, not just cups, because that's the obvious one right now because I picked that up on the way down to give the presentation, but also all the paper that is getting printed off for lessons that doesn't need to be used anymore. And I think one of the greatest things that you guys could do when you go back to your schools is you think about the digital textbooks. I know there's several presentations that are offering digital textbooks and online tools like that where you can almost go paper free. It's amazing. It's amazing. And Tetra Pak recycling. I saw our Tash McCarroll back there. Tash, you want to wave your hand? No, she's not listening. Anyways, she really pushed our school to recycle Tetra Paks. Do you guys know what Tetra Paks are? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, hold that up, could you please? I was going to get one, but all the ones downstairs were really gross. Anyways, so a Tetra Pak has a lot of really interesting materials in there. On the outside, you would say, oh, it's just a piece of cardboard. But it's actually got a thin layer of plastic, a thin layer of aluminum, and several other layers that keep your milk safe and keep your orange juice at the proper temperatures and all that kind of stuff. The Tetra Paks that get recycled at our school. Notice I didn't say the Tetra Paks at our school. The Tetra Paks that get recycled at our school, we actually, somebody takes them, and I'm not kidding, he takes them and he turns them into corrugated aluminum roofing tiles to then, of course, give to other people. So that Tetra Pak could turn into a roofing tile in Darby someday, which is a pretty amazing thing. And then the final point, which I guess because of the table you can't really see, you probably haven't seen much of that. The final point is embedding all this stuff into the curriculum. You know, how do you get your students to buy in? And you know, here at ASB we have a lot of students that are very privileged that maybe in their own family lives this is not a part of it. I mean, I grew up in the recycle movement in Wisconsin, and it's just very natural to turn the lights off when you leave. So coming up with ways that you can teach the students how to buy into that waste-free materials usage, all those sorts of things. So we don't have any answers yet. I'm not here to report that we are perfect at doing any of this. What I would love to do is take the next 15 minutes or so to see what ideas you guys have, to see what questions you have for your own school, but also maybe you guys have solved some of these problems as well. Before we do that, I've just got a couple things I want to share. We do have a blog, and I'm just going to rotate to it. If you go to the Findings blog, which you don't need to read that, the Findings blog, there's a green education side note, and one of the things that I've written a couple times about is water bottles, and you got one really nice one, so keep using it. We're talking about getting rid of these completely and just giving every one of our students a water bottle. What would that look like? Wow, that would be pretty amazing. I know Jakarta International School did that a couple of years ago. Another thing I talked about on the blog was carpooling to work. How many teachers drive to work by themselves in this audience? Don't be shy, don't be shy. That's awesome, only like 5. The rest of us maybe come on school transportation or buses or trains. Most of our students don't carpool to work, right? Most of our students are being dropped off by a driver or by a parent, hopefully with siblings, maybe with a neighbor, maybe not. The carpooling thing is really important. And then finally, the other blog post that I wrote about that you might find interesting is many schools that are being built. The school itself, the actual building, is part of the curriculum. There's a really interesting school up in the UK where every part of the building, you know, the walls, the construction elements, is part of the curriculum. It's integrated in. So the students in a math class could look at the energy savings because they used the right light bulbs. You know? Or students in the science class could look at the energy transfer through the windows and take a look at that. So there's really interesting work out there that's done. And we've tried as best as possible to put as many of those ideas into our new school, where we are using the new building as an actual curriculum device. Which brings us back to the rooftop garden. Rooftop garden, like I said, saves energy, but it's also a curriculum. You can teach science, you can teach about the life cycle, you can teach about the water cycle. There's a school that the F&I, that's the company, architect company that's working with ASB right now, they have a whole water filtration system that turns into a creek and a waterfall that goes through their school. So students and teachers can access that as part of the curriculum. It's amazing. So my question for you is that you could take back to your schools is, what part of your building could you actually use as part of your curriculum? So, lots of interesting questions, not a ton of answers, like I said. Oops, that's the iTunes. We want to go back here. And if you don't feel like speaking up right now, and you'd rather email me your ideas, there's my email address. I would love to have you comment on our blog and all that kind of stuff too. But now I'd like to open it up for questions. Questions and comments, things that you do at your school that you find really helpful in green education. So don't be shy. Yeah, in the back.
Sorry, I apologize if you mentioned it. What about composting?
Composting, excellent. Do you do it at your school?
Yes.
Can you explain? Here, I'm going to bring the mic back. Can you stand up and introduce yourself and tell us where you are?
No. I'm Aaron from the Canadian International School in Hong Kong. We have very much a green initiative ourselves. Really kind of just off the ground in the last year and a bit. And we've just got a compost system in the school now. So it's not necessarily rolled out on a large scale. It's a start. And we have a green club which is student driven. And we have a lot of herbs and stuff growing on a certain floor of the school, and that is sparking a lot of conversations about perhaps greening our classrooms further, fundraising activities, and the students. We have a green roof project underway as well.
Cool.
Quite a big one. The students, more importantly, the students are really driving it. We have an awesome lady who's facilitating the Green Initiative, and we have a person who's employed full time. He just solely deals with that, so I take my hat off to you for wearing the true hats. Good job.
Thank you. So composting, just a real quick one. Composting here in India is really challenging because of the environment with crows and all that kind of stuff, and so we're trying to problem solve that out right now. So thank you. So composting is a great idea. In the back here, can you speak right into the mic?
Yeah, I just had a question if anyone else here had a teaching green roof that they already had built at their school. Because that's something we're interested in doing in Frankfurt. Thanks.
Doesn't seem like anyone's raising their hands. It's really hard, when you think about, I have a garden back in Minneapolis, and I spend hours working on a garden, and it's not just Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? It is a 24/7 job, and most of the months that we're in school, here in Mumbai, it's raining like crazy, so we've got to figure out how to garden with that. So, any other questions? Let's come over to this side of the room. Yes, sir.
We used the Group 4 project in the IB as a trigger for some of these ideas. So a few years ago, there was a group who were looking at the light bulbs in the school. We've got, I think it's 4 strip lightings for every light within rooms. And so one of the activities was for them to test to see the effect of taking out one of those 4, seeing if it made a great difference to the light intensity. So they were doing something that was active and useful, and they found it made very little difference, so we took them out.
One of the other lighting ideas that we had is, those of you that have done some research with ADHD, you will know that the fluorescent lights that we're all sitting underneath right now are actually really prohibitive to your learning if you're one of those, if you've got that sort of personality. And LED lights are scientifically proven all across the board to improve attention spans and all that kind of stuff. So, but they happen to be very, very expensive. So LEDs are great. Any other ideas? Let's hear from some more people. Yeah.
Sorry, just a couple of things that I mentioned. Yeah, we have lights out Friday. Every Friday we turn the lights off. We're a one-to-one school, so maybe the light from the lids is enough.
And the hallways.
And the hallways, yeah. And we have this term we started print-free day. So because the printers are controlled on a cloud-based kind of system, they can be centrally managed quite easily. So basically, a print service is suspended for a day.
Lights out Friday. Love it. Love it. You'd have to have lots of good windows for that. What other great ideas? Back.
I was just going to add that if your school is looking to go forward, one of the organizations that has really great resources in English is the Eco Schools out of Great Britain, out of the UK. And they have organizations in a lot of countries now. I think it's over 70 countries where you can get certification for your school to be an eco school. So for example, in Frankfurt last year we applied and we now have European environmental school status. And you have to reapply every year, so it keeps it going. Students pick 2 projects that they're working on, and it has to be student-centered, and part of it has to be curriculum-based. So it's kind of a nice way too if you're looking for a way to motivate your school to get a little bit more environmental education into your curriculum. You might get some support from admin if they can put the little stamp on your website and use it as a marketing tool as well.
Can you say that again? Which was the name?
Eco Schools, ECO Schools. If you just look it up, .org. It's in most countries.
Excuse me. All right. Speak right into the mic.
We're trying to promote the students to become more environmental leaders. So we're running an environmental leadership summit this year for some of our middle school kids. And we're inviting some guest speakers from the state. The man who's coming is Marcus Erickson. He's a person who goes out to the gyres that are in the oceans and studies the plastic problem. And the focus will be about reducing plastic in your community.
Plastic's really one of the big heavy hitters because it doesn't just hit you on the waste side, it hits you on the production side as well. Excuse me. Other questions, other comments? Yeah.
In our school, we worked on this No Paper Cup Day, and we also run a program called Young Environmentalist Program. It's a club run by the DP students. And as teachers, we used to, not now, we used to run an environment club where we would have environmental quiz and different kind of poster and awareness campaigns. Yeah.
More ideas, more ideas. You guys are very quiet. You're in the food coma after lunch. Here we go. Come on.
I'm Dawn Ashby from Ethiopia. For the paper cup issue, we were very concerned about the kids and hydration, and we had all these cups and water concerns, and the nurse was very concerned that if we took away the cups, what would happen? But we just took away the cups, and everybody's adjusted, and people don't remember that we actually had cups before. So I think sometimes we just gotta step off the cups, and people bring water bottles as reusable ones. We are having issues with the plastic water bottles that are sold at the cafeteria. Kids sometimes rely on that. So we're dealing with that plastic issue and doing the recycling within the community, reusing them, filling them with fresh water, giving them to NGOs and stuff like that. And the other thing that another teacher has started was a global issues, local action class. And so kids can then decide what kind of issues they want to deal with in the local community and work on those. And it's very weird.
Just to follow up on the plastic bottles thing, one of the things that are challenged by, and I would assume that a lot of your schools would have the same problem, is the water bottles, the plastic water bottles that the whatever that you can buy in the cafeteria are sold by an outside party, and they're profiting off that, and it's part of their school contract to come in and sell and profit. And so by removing the water bottles, you remove a lot of their income, and profit margin really shrinks down. And so we're trying to problem solve what could we do instead to maintain their profit margin where it's at, so it's still economically viable to keep them here. So here you go.
I just wanted to ask a question, the lady who last spoke. I wanted to ask you what kind of global issues you look at in that club, in your school, and handle it in the local way. I mean, any kind of project, any kind of example you can share. Because I'm very keen on this, really like to take it up.
I don't teach the class. It's actually a class, but it's an elective that the kids can sign up for. It's a class. They get credit for it. There's a middle school Gila club and not club class and a high school. They look at sort of but they look at, say, issues about water, access to water, and they look at it in a global way, and then they look at the local community and say, okay, well, what are the issues and what can we do to step in? So one group of students who was interested in this aspect went to a local river, which was highly polluted, and went and did a sort of a cleanup session and figured out a solution to not have all the waste and garbage go into the river that was going through this group of homes that were being. I'm not sure that I can give you a whole bunch of answers about that.
Thank you. Here's another one.
Hi, I'm in Singapore American School. 3 weeks ago I was at a Global Issues Network conference in Abu Dhabi, and I was observing students from around the world get together and decide on their own what initiatives and what issues are facing them and their future. And they collaborated and they made plans and they made actions that they put in place, and it was really powerful to watch them work. Global Issues Network has a great website as well that you can become a member of and think about starting a chapter at your school. We're recently starting chapters in our high school and middle school.
The Global Issues Network. Other comments? Yes, excuse me.
I'd just like to tag on to that because Global Issues Network, we're offering a conference called Gen Sing in Singapore, and the high school is running it, and it's in place, and it'll be happening in November, and students are invited to come and to put together a group and to come. And it is about solving the 20 global issues that based on High Noon, and so that conference is in November if you're interested. You can talk to somebody from Singapore, American School.
Other questions and ideas? No? All right. Well, thank you for a very interesting discussion. I know that I will be hastily typing before I forget a bunch of your ideas. And I encourage you, if you chose not to speak, or if you have something that you think of later, or if you have a colleague that you think has something to say, I'd encourage you to email me. My email's on the board, which I guess you can't see, so I'll brought that up or something like that. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope that you continue to use your ASB Unplugged provided water bottle, and I hope that you continue to conserve your energy on your power, on your on your laptops, and turn them off when you're not using them. And I hope you have a really great time in Mumbai. And I encourage you to get out of the Bandar Kurla complex and see Dharavi and take the reality tours. It's phenomenal, the recycling that's going on in that place. They just are a really warm community, and I'd encourage you to get out and enjoy the city. So thank you so much, and stop by with any questions. Thank you.